And I'm back with more Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Justice for All. Almost forgot that bit. Anyway, now we're on to the trial of my FA, which, as I've said, is a thing that happens every single time. She always seems to get in trouble. So, as a backdrop, she was going back to her home village of Kurain, tried to conduct a spirit medium ceremony, and the person that she called ended up murdering the one that she had a client for, she had a contract for. So it's a big old mess. And now we're going to defend her because of course we are. We were also informed that we're not being challenged by Miles Edgeworth. We're not being challenged by Winston Payne. We're not being challenged by Manfred von Karma. We're being challenged by another von Karma, Franziska. And if you're wondering, that pronunciation is very intentional. And the reason I'm taking some time with this episode is I need to explain something. Every time that I've had a chance to do voice acting in these, whether it's Legend of Mana or Final Fantasy IX or Breath of Fire, or even stuff like Persona 5, when I'm given characters, and I'm simply just following their voices, I do my best to at least attempt to sound like the character. Or in most cases like this, give a character that's an approximation to what they would sound like. This is going to be a different case because I don't think the Ace Attorney dub tried that. I think they went for the more subtle, she's in America, she's an American actress, whatever. I'm going to try something a little different. I'm going to actually attempt to give her a slight German accent. So I've done a little bit of research and trying to do some German pronunciation, mostly just the similar stuff that you would get if you were in a German speaker. I don't know if it's going to end up being a very thick version or a very slight version. The only thing I know is I'm going to make an attempt at it. And as I've said before, accents are not really my strong suit. But I wanted to make that preface before I start because Franziska's or as I should say, Franziska is going to be here the entire game. And even just saying her name like that kind of gets me in that mindset. It already gets me excited of seeing what happens, but I'm only going to know it once I actually see her words on the page or words on the screen. So bear that in mind. You're going to hear very bad German, but I'm going to make an attempt. And I think anybody doing something like this, like trying to do words and trying to say things, it's a personal choice. To me, I find it important that you at least attempt to act out the scenes as the characters. That is a personal creed of mine, because I don't know if I always get chances to do this sort of thing, so I'm going to try and make it memorable in one way or another. It might end up being a distracting thing, but I'm only going to know that once we actually do it. And I'm only going to know what she sounds like once I start, so here we go. What? Prosecutor von Karma? You mean... Ah! Great, and I'm pressing the wrong buttons. No, I heard it's a successor this time. Successor? Manfred von Karma was a really sinister man. He pulled all sorts of nasty tricks, all so he could win. He was a man obsessed with the word perfection. He had a perfect record for 40 years. Who knows what sort of dirty tricks he used to get those guilty verdicts. And now his successor? I wonder what kind of person he'll be. It's no good. Mystic Maya! Pearly! You showed up! Thanks for coming all this way. I was really worried about you. Where's your mother? Didn't you come together? Mother's watching over the trainees. She said they had training for 2 days straight and no breaks. You came all by yourself? Yup. I snuck out of the manor and followed a map. You walked all the way here? Of course not. I ran. It takes 2 hours by train. My God. Pearly, what about the train? Huh? What's a train? I give up. It's time, isn't it? I'm really scared. What if Von Karma tries to do something to me? At least I know Mr. Edgeworth would be nicer to me. Edgeworth? What's that? He's Nick's rival and friend. I still remember him as though it was only yesterday. I still remember him as if I'd only seen him yesterday. Objection! Every trial was a scorchingly fierce battle with pointing and pointing. It was always back and forth with them. But when you're rivals for life... Maya! Just don't mention that name again. Huh? But why? Sorry. I forgot you didn't know. He's gone. And he's never coming back. What? Wait a minute. What's that supposed to mean? Court will commence shortly. Please proceed to the courtroom. Let's go. Now's not the time to think about that anyway. Nick? Oh. Court is now in session for the trial of Maya Fey. Are the prosecution and defense prepared? Oh. What's with this kid? Mr. Wright, are you prepared? Yes, Your Honor. Why is he always mad at me? Mr. Phoenix Wright. You must be a little shocked because I'm a woman, correct? But she's the famed successor? I am Franziska von Karma, the prodigy. I see. I gave up a promising career in Germany and I came to this country for one sole reason. Revenge. Revenge? Is this about her father? If it's something of a personal nature, I'm sure you can... Ah! I'm talking. If you interrupt me again, my whip will do the speaking for me. Please speak with your mouth like a normal person, I beg you. Ah! Make no mistake. I will defeat you. Prepare to go down, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Prosecutor von Karma, your opening statement, please. Those of von Karma blood have only one fate, and that is perfection. The defendant, Maya Fey, will know no escape from her guilt from my watch. Very well. What is the defense's position? Your Honor, does the defense wish to enter a plea of not guilty? Foolish fool who dreams only of foolish dreams. 10 minutes. I will give the defense 10 minutes before it changes its plea. That's right. I'll have you running for justified self-defense in no time. Justified self-defense? A plea usually reserved for a person who unintentionally kills in defense. Could very easily make a solid case, but the defense stands by its plea of not guilty, because to plead justified self-defense is to say you've killed someone. How foolish. If that is how you want to play it, Mr. Phoenix, right? Then I shall call the first witness. She's just as scary. Like father, like daughter, I suppose. Witness? Your name and occupation? Yes, sir. Name's Dick Gumshoe. I'm a detective over at the local precinct. Get to the point already. Explain to the court the details of the murder. Yes, sir. If everyone look at this map. The channeling chamber has no windows, and the door was locked shut. At the time of the murder, only the victim and the defendant were in the room. What were they doing in there? They were channeling a spirit, sir. It's channeling a spirit. That's quite a look of disbelief. Anyway, a few minutes after it started, gunshots were heard coming from inside the room, sir. A few of the witnesses broke the door down and rushed into the room. And that's when they found the victim was already dead? I believe this is one of the most open and shut cases I've ever presided over. So how was the victim killed? I was about to get to that. Stop wasting time then. The direct cause of death was a pistol shot to the forehead, sir. The shot was fired at point blank. But before the victim was shot, he was stabbed in the chest. The wound was very severe, but not enough to cause instantaneous death. The murderer used a pistol to finish the victim off before the stab or after the stabbing. So the victim was stabbed before being shot. This is the victim's autopsy report, sir. The court accepts it into evidence. Mr. Wright, you may question the witness. The murder weapon, Detective Gumshoe. Whose pistol was it? It was the victim's. The victim? Why would he have... Why would he have a pistol? Who cares? The point that you are missing is whose fingerprints were on the pistol. If you're not already paying attention to that, then I suggest you stop. Fingerprints? There were fingerprints? Along with the victims, the defendant, Maya Fey, was also on the grip, sir. Uh-oh. So the defendant's fingerprints were left on the murder weapon? I walked right into her hand. A shot was fired at point-blank range. Point-blank? How far away was that? Anywhere from 12 to 20... Ooh. I don't even know he was shot. Mr. Wright. I grow tired of this foolery of the foolish fools of this foolish country. Gunpowder burn. Gunpowder burn. When something is shot from point blank, a burn area is left around the bullet hole. Gunpowder exploding is what makes a bullet fire. It gets real hot, pal. And there were definitely some gunpowder burns left in the victim's forehead. I never knew that. Live and learn, I guess. Stabbed? What was he stabbed with? A fruit knife. Oh, whose knife was it? Looks like it belonged to the face, sir. And, of course, her fingerprints were all over it. All over it, huh? What will you do now, Mr. Phoenix, Wright? How severe was the wound? It had been half an inch more to the right than it would have hit the victim's heart. After a stab like that, it's impossible to fight back, let alone stab. His testimony makes it sound like she stabbed with the intent to kill. The murderer used the pistol to finish the victim off. Are you sure he was stabbed first, then shot? Yep, sure as sure could be. One look at the wounds and you come to the same conclusion too, pal. A fool is a fool that will only listen to the foolish opinions of other foolish fools. A pistol shot to the forehead at point blank is enough to kill instantly. Does it matter then which was first? Think a little more with that big mouth of yours, Mr. Wright. What a pain. That's enough! We've clearly established how the victim was murdered. I brought the two murder weapons today. Very well, the court accepts them into evidence. The date and time of death was June 19th at 3:15 p.m. Eyewitnesses claim they have heard 2 gunshots at this time. And 2 murder weapons with the defendant's fingerprints on them, huh? This does seem open and shut. Naturally. This is going from bad to worse. As if the summary just now wasn't simplifying things. Your Honor, feel free to slam that little gavel of yours. After all, there's no room for doubt, is there? That's quite true. Mr. Wright? Yes? Even in the face of all this, do you still wish to plead not guilty? It is the opinion of this court that if you do not adjust your plea, you stand to lose. See? Just as I promised, Mr. Phoenix Wright. You would change your plea in less than 10 minutes. What will you do, Mr. Wright? Will you change to justified self-defense because now would be the time to do so? This is your final chance. Better think this through. Pick the other option. Justified self-defense, we'd basically be confessing. After the trial, Maya's life would be ruined and she'd be labeled a murderer. I can't let that happen. Your Honor, have you reached a conclusion? The defense will not change its plea. We'll accept nothing short of complete acquittal. You have sealed your own fate, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Detective! Yes, sir. Present the final portion of your testimony. The final strike. Yes, sir. Proceedings are run by... Ah! Of course. Go ahead. Detective, give your testimony. I think the court would like to hear about the other piece of incriminating evidence. Sorry, pal, but we got even more incriminating evidence. And his costume that the defendant was wearing at the time. As you can see, it's all covered in blood. The defendant attacked and killed a person who, without a doubt, was not fighting back. So this is the costume? Certainly evidence of a backspray of blood. This piece directly links my fate to the crime, sir. The court accepts it into evidence. Oh. All right, Mr. Wright. Yes. Maya's fingerprints are on the murder weapons and the blood splatter. Could this situation get any worse? What's wrong? You seem to be at a loss. I think there's this final piece of evidence and testimony the prosecution should hold to offer. Feel free to sulk off with your tail between your legs, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Please stop calling me by my full name, it's disturbing! Look, I'm trying my best here, okay? Shut up. Shut up, Phoenix. Anyway, I think it's third. Okay. There's blood on the costume. Lab results show it's the victim's blood. So there's blood from the victim on the defendant's clothes? Not good. So there's any other clues you could get from this piece of evidence? Ah, well. If you must change the topic, then the good detective here would testify again. But too bad, not enough time. We shall move on. Miss von Karma's perfectly correct. Not even the judge is on her side. But if I bite off more than I can chew, what do I do? Why is Miss von Karma suddenly putting up resistance? There's gotta be a reason why she suddenly threw out an objection. Aha. I just have to look harder. Mr. Wright? Miss von Karma's logic is perfect. There's no way for you to poke a hole in it. Your Honor, actually, there is something very wrong about this piece of evidence. What? What are you talking about, pal? Where's this problem you're talking about? Come this far. There's no turning back now. There's a big old bullet hole on the side. Let's go. I asked the court to please take a look at the sleeve of this costume. The sleeve? There's a tiny hole in here. A hole? But that wasn't in a report. Hold on. What's this around the hole? It's gunpowder. No one ever told me. Hole that smells like gunpowder. Looks like I found that hole I was looking for. Your Honor, the only logical conclusion is it's got to be a bullet hole. It'd be best to correct the court record first before anything else. Sorry about that. I guess we messed up, sir. Is she smiling? I love that. I love she just leans over the desk and smiles. I know she gets a... she gets a bad rap for being, like, weaker than Edgeworth and the guy in the third game, but I like her a lot. What else is she hiding? Pull yourself together, detective. Is that tiny hole changes nothing. The strength of evidence still holds. Continue with your testimony. That just now was a fluke, nothing more. How can you say something like that? It's a huge oversight. While I agree it's a mistake on the part of the police, what Prosecutor von Karma said was true. The evidence still stands. If you do not find a more definitive problem... Damn it! Detective Gumshoe, please continue with testimony. Yes, sir. Let's see. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Detective Dick Gumshoe. Yeah? Having you call me by my full name's kinda weird, you know? You said my client killed a person who, without a doubt, was not fighting back? Yeah, what about it? Then what I ask is that bullet hole you overlooked. Wait, what does that mean? I'll tell you what it means. It means that the victim fired off a shot. Is that what it means to not fight back? No, you're right. It seems you're correct. If the victim had tried to shoot the defendant, it would have changed everything. All right. What's with her, are you finished yet? Are you finished yet, Mr. Phoenix Wright? Miss von Karma, it seems that my affair was shot by the victim. However, that is only grounds enough to support justified self-defense plea. That's correct. But I'm sure as you remember what the defense clearly said. They rejected self-defense and pleaded not guilty. No. Which means the defense has yet to prove anything at all. Well, yes, that's true. Furthermore, just the fact that there's a bullet hole on the costume is not enough to substantiate even a plea of justified self-defense. How so? Don't just stand there. Hurry up and tell the court what transpired that day. With this new information we've acquired, of course. By myself, sir? You want me to put it all together by myself, sir? Yes, sir. Right away. During the channeling, the defendant saw her chance to stab the victim in the chest. Of course, the victim was using the last of his strength to fight back, sir. While the two victims were fighting, the victim took out his gun. The victim took a shot, but because it was too close, they missed. The defendant picked it up on the opening and took the victim's gun and ended it. That scenario does seem to make sense. Yeah, sir. Well, Mr. Wright, on the surface it makes sense. However, I won't give up that easily. Please refrain from glaring at me like that. I would like it if Franziska did not whip me all day, so stop making faces. Your cross-examination, please. Okay, so fourth. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Missing the tiny hole in his costume will be the prosecution's undoing. What do you mean? This little hole has actually created a huge hole in your testimony. Explain yourself, Mr. Wright. You said the two of them were fighting when the victim fired his gun. If that were true, where's that gunpowder bird? This is what you just testified. When something is shot at point blank, a burn area is left around the bullet hole. Ah! There's no such trace on this costume. That's a very good point. What exactly does that mean? It means that when the shot was fired, they were standing apart from each other. I'm disappointed, Mr. Phoenix Wright. You think you can punch a hole in my logic with that? Wishy-washy thinking like that. Anyone can explain anything away. Then I implore you to disprove my line of thinking. Let's see. In the middle of the fight, the victim pushed the defendant away. And it was then, when they were separated, that he fired. How was that? As if it were even possible. According to the testimony, the wound from the stabbing was very severe. The victim would not have had the strength to push the defendant very far. Well, that's right. The defendant must have pushed the victim away. After stabbing him, she must have put some space between the doctor and herself. And then, while she was preparing to strike again, the doctor took the shot. There. That should even satisfy you. That does make some sense. What do you think, Mr. Wright? I have to be careful. I can't make a mistake here. Concentrate. There's a fatal flaw in your argument. Fatal flaw? Ow! Very interesting. I would love to see where this flaw is. Show me something that can contradict my explanation. There's gotta be a snag. She put some distance between them and rushing to make the final blow. When she was about to strike, the doctor took a shot. There must be a piece of evidence that contradicts it. This is the piece of evidence that destroys your logic. What's that, a folding screen? I would like to point the court's attention to the hole found in the folding screen. Ugh! Looks like you already know what I'm talking about. Well, who? Where? What? Mr. Wright, your explanation, please. Are these two really that dumb? The bullet went through the defendant's sleeve first, and then the folding screen. It passed through a height of approximately 8 inches off the ground, which means when the shot was fired, the defendant was not getting ready to strike, but was actually squatting low. Order! This changes everything! Please look at the diagram of the screen. The victim, Dr. Gray, was here when the shot was fired, and the bullet hit the folding screen. It hit at this location, about 8 inches off the ground. At this time, the defendant was in this area. God, stupid phone. She was standing here near the folding screen. Wait a second. We know that the defendant was close to the ground based on the height of the bullet hole. But how can you gauge distance from that? Isn't it possible the defendant was standing much closer to the victim? That's impossible. But why? You of all people should know the answer to that question. If she was shot from somewhere closer, then there'd be gunpowder burns. However, there are none of the sort over here, in this costume. Cuss you, Mr. Phoenix, right? You. I believe it's now been proven that the defendant was standing a ways from the victim when she was shot. But do you think this changes the defendant's situation? Honestly, this changes everything. The prosecution's claim that the defendant was aiming to kill my stabbing. If that were true, delivering the final strike would have been ideal. However, where and what was the defendant doing at the time? Squatting all the way by the folding screen? Exactly. If Maya Fey was the real murderer, why would she be by the folding screen instead of preparing to strike? Upon further consideration, it does make very little sense. I figured that'd be a reason. Make sure not to get whipped there, Gumshoe, my boy. Figuring things out is your job. Alright. With this, the rest of the trial should be... Blast radius of disaster. You are such a smart man, Mr. Phoenix Wright. To think you've been completely taken by a hopeless case to this point. Now I know why Papa has a tough time with you. You amuse me. Of all the things to inherit, why'd she have to get that smarmy smile? Detective! How dare you damage my perfect logic? Huh? How's that my fault? You can start repairing my standing by first removing that 3-strand goatee. Oh, and rest assured your punishment will come later. Punishment? Well then, Your Honor, I think I've had all I can take of this detective's face. I think it's time to call the next witness. Next witness? It's gotta be Lotta. Very well. The court will take a 5-minute recess. After we reconvene, we'll hear from the next witness. Alright. Well, nice first little part of this trial. And I think you can see where I'm going with Von Karma's vocal inflections. They're not always there. Because again, I don't speak German, but you can tell I'm at least trying to make that effort. But there's also, like, I'm not trying to make it super thick. Because it is still an 18-year-old girl we're talking about. So I'm pretty sure she's 18. So I don't think it's a terrible attempt. At the same time, I'm not absolutely perfect on it, but I do think it's going to at least lead to a character that I like to do and gives her something different. Now, trying to do her accent and Lotta's accent next episode? Oh boy. But we'll save that for next time. Thanks for watching.